This is a bookable summary of the book, The Most Important Thing, by Howard Marks. This book will teach you how to understand the current market in order to make good financial decisions and avoid the common errors that trap so many investors. It outlines a thought-provoking and sometimes controversial investment philosophy rather than providing a manual with step-by-step instructions. 1. Since opportunities to beat the market are rare, successful investing requires perceptive thinking. If you want to become a successful investor, you need a solid grounding in the basics. So, let's start with a simple definition. Investing consists of putting money into assets and expecting an increase in value. Taking it a step further, successful investing means buying mispriced assets that are priced too low, selling them later at a higher price, and earning a profit. It sounds simple, but mispricings are rare, because most of the time, there are thousands of participants actively gathering information about various assets and evaluating them diligently. Still, mispricing does occur in practice. Mispricing makes profits and losses possible in a big way. But, as we mentioned, detecting these mispricings is a difficult task. So, if your investment goal is to earn higher than average returns, your thinking has to be different and better than everyone else's. This is called second-level thinking, and it works like this. First-level thinking says, "It's a good company, let's buy the stock." Second-level thinking goes beyond the conventional wisdom by saying, "It's a good company, but everyone thinks that, so the stock is probably overrated and overpriced. Let's sell." Second-level thinking takes all these other investors into account in order to beat the market, not just submit to it. 2. Understanding the relationship between value and price is the cornerstone of successful investing. The oldest rule in investing is also the simplest. Buy low, sell high. Then you wonder, what is low and what is high? To answer that, there has to be some objective standard. And for our purposes, the most useful one is the asset's intrinsic value. Coming up with an accurate estimate of intrinsic value is the ideal starting point for successful investing, because it will then allow you to spot and buy assets when the current price is lower than your intrinsic value. You would do this by analyzing a company's general attributes, which are called fundamentals. Fundamental analysis involves asking questions about the company's economic well-being, such as, is the company earning a profit? Can it repay its debts? The relationship between the current price and intrinsic value is crucial, and yet many overlook it. So, to be sure that the price is right in relation to the asset's value, a prospective buyer should also look at two other factors, psychological and technical factors. Technical aspects have nothing to do with the value. They occur when a market crashes and, in order to avoid total bankruptcy, investors sell regardless of price. Psychological factors, like greed or fear, also exert a powerful influence on a price. 3. Dealing with risk is an essential aspect of investing. Investing requires us to deal with the future, but since we can't predict what will happen with any real certainty, risk is unavoidable. Investment risk is always present, even when it's hard to recognize. So, perhaps paradoxically, the prime element of risk creation is the belief that risk is low, maybe even non-existent. As long as prices can fall, risk persists. Risk is an unavoidable aspect of the investment process, and, as we discussed above, in some ways, risk becomes even more dangerous in good times, when the possibility of loss is hardest to imagine. Thus, serious risk assessment is necessary to make wise investment decisions. Risk assessment is important because the amount of money you gain or lose on a particular investment doesn't say anything about the level of risk you took initially. That's why the risk has to be assessed on its own, apart from the investment's intrinsic value or any other factors. 4. Swooping in at the bottom of a market cycle yields the greatest opportunities for gain. Although there are very few sure things, when it comes to the world of investment, there are two rules we can always count on. Rule number 1. Most things are cyclical due to the nature of humanity. People are emotional, inconsistent, and mutable. So, when investors become emotional, it creates cyclical patterns in markets. Consider the credit cycle, which is the increase and decrease of access to credit over time. During times of prosperity, when bad news is scarce, risk awareness decreases, which leads to less restrictive credit regulations by the banks. However, when losses happen, risk awareness increases, which leads to more restrictive credit regulations by the banks. This scenario explains why processes involving humans tend to be cyclical. This also leads us to rule number 2, which says, some of the greatest opportunities for gain or loss arise when others forget about rule number 1. Ignoring the cyclical nature of markets and extrapolating trends is dangerous from an investment standpoint. This kind of thinking is precisely what leads to bubbles. Buyers may ignore overpriced stocks because they believe someone else will buy them, but eventually, the market may crash and buyers may be forced to sell at any price to prevent bankruptcy. And for an investor, this is the perfect moment of opportunity. There's no better investment than buying from someone who has to sell, regardless of price, during a crash. If you're learning something new in this video, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more videos. 5. If you want to make successful investments, buck the trend and seek out unusual bargains. Most investors tend to follow the trends. Superior investors, however, do the exact opposite. Bucking trends is the key to successful investment because crowds make errors with almost mathematical regularity, creating insane market turbulence. Markets swing from overpriced to underpriced constantly. When more people want to buy than sell, the market rises. When the market rises, the more people become buyers, which inflates the market even more. This is caused by the so-called wisdom of the crowd, which creates and inflates these overpriced or underpriced assets. For this reason, the most profitable investment decisions are by definition contrarian. They involve buying when everyone else sells and vice versa. Bargains are an investment holy grail, and as outlined above, they're usually based on irrationality or an incomplete understanding of the market. A good place to start looking for them is among assets that are controversial or scary, unpopular, or unknown. Make it your goal to find underpriced assets that are perceived to be considerably worse than what they are. Although it might feel uncomfortable at first, the best opportunities exist where others wouldn't dare go. 6. Since market forecasts are mostly useless, investors should have a good understanding of the present economic situation. If you follow market forecasts, then you know that investing tools can sometimes be right. However, the key question isn't whether they're sometimes right, but whether forecasts consistently provide actionable and valuable information. The answer is no. Market forecasts have little value. You might notice that sometimes when people predict the future, it looks like the recent past. That doesn't mean the prediction is wrong. Most times, the future repeats the past. But unfortunately, forecasts are least likely to correctly predict real market change. Therefore, since forecasts are of little value, investors need to have a good sense of the present market situation. No one can predict the future. It's impossible to know the future. But smart investors will work to understand the given moment in terms of the market cycles. All we need to do is take the market's temperature, so to speak. We might ask, are investors optimistic or pessimistic? Does the media say we should buy stock or avoid the market altogether? These valuable questions will help you determine a smart course of action. 7. To achieve investment success, avoid analytical and psychological sources of error. When analyzing the financial market, many individuals may use similar methods and come to the same conclusions, yet their actions may differ. This is because psychological factors don't influence everyone the same way. Some of the biggest investment errors come from these psychological factors like greed, fear, ego, and envy. These forces can drive us to pursue high returns by accepting high levels of risk. Greed is perhaps the most powerful of these psychological forces. In addition to these psychological sources of error, investors can also make analytical mistakes. These are more straightforward, occurring when we don't have enough information, apply the wrong analytical process, make computational errors, or accidentally omit something pertinent. Analytical mistakes are relatively easy to avoid. It's a matter of being careful. Therefore, to achieve investment success, we must avoid making the kinds of psychological and analytical errors outlined above. 8. Investment outcomes often hinge on random events, so find an investment approach that anticipates various scenarios. In the financial markets, much success is a result of being in the right place at the right time. Additionally, success can also come from being in the right place for the wrong reasons. Outcomes often depend on unpredictable events. Therefore, it is essential to develop an investment approach that anticipates random events, whether lucky or unlucky. Investors should implement a strategy that will be effective in a range of situations. This involves finding a balance between offensive and defensive investment strategies. An offensive strategy involves accepting high levels of risk in pursuit of gains, while defensive strategies focus on avoiding losses rather than taking risks for profits. A combination of these two approaches will likely be effective in a variety of situations. Thanks for watching. We hope this video provided valuable insight and information for you. During market downturn, do you sell and try to avoid further losses, or stay invested and hold for the long term? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you learned something new in this video, make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more videos. Thank you. Until next time.